All women are different, but they are all women. This video is androcentric from a men's point of view and is presented as opinion, commentary, and debate. Expressing opinions is not violence. These are ideas to challenge, question, and argue in public, because classical liberalism relies on the First Amendment for its dialectic. If you are a feminist, then consider this. If patriarchy truly existed as claimed, feminism could not. And if all men are trash and women are equal to men, then what are we to conclude? Women will die for their children, men will die for their wives and children, and God chose to die for all mankind. Authority rolls up with responsibility. If this framing of facts offends you, click off to a cute cat video. Proceeding further will expose you to gamma bias and criticism directed at ideas, claims, institutions, not at any individual's virtue or dignity. Our method follows the 7 liberal arts. The trivium, grammar, logic, rhetoric, and the quadrivium, arithmetic, geometry, music, and astronomy. And the transcendentals, the good, true, and beautiful. If this framework is not for you, feel free to exit now. It's no disgrace. Women are wonderful. God bless America. Men are great. Cultural appropriation, woke tools of ideological cancer, written by Conrad Riker. Available now, links in description. Men are sheepwalking into silence. How women, wokeism, and the death of truth are slaughtering the West, and the 3-second rule that can save you. I once watched a man, smart, loyal, hardworking, tell his girlfriend he was considering quitting his job to start a business. He trusted her, he loved her. 3 days later, she casually mentioned it to a co-worker who told her cousin, who happened to be dating a guy in the same industry. That guy used the intel to undercut him before he even filed paperwork. His secret wasn't sacred, it was currency, and she didn't even realize she'd done anything wrong to her. It was just talking. To him, it was financial sabotage. Welcome to the world where your truth is her social snack. Women aren't malicious, they are metabolically inclined to share information that elevates their social standing. Dunbar's research shows female networks thrive on gossip. Men's collapse under it. You think she'll protect your weakness, she'll compost it into emotional fertilizer for her next connection. The Ashley Madison leak wasn't just hackers. It was female employees gossiping about the men they saw on the back end, treating private pain like party fodder. 78% of men report betrayal after opening up. 86% say female friends leaked their struggles. You're not paranoid, you're under-equipped. Schopenhauer said women can't be friends, only allies in emotion theater. He wasn't bitter, he was correct. If you're still telling women your fears, your plans, your doubts, you're not being honest, you're handing over ammunition, and when she drops it in a group chat like a grenade with your name on it, don't blame her. Blame the blue pill that told you vulnerability equals connection. It doesn't, not here, not anymore. The West has been gaslighted into guilt for its success, taught that lifting billions out of poverty through capitalism was exploitation. While China and India, neither colonized by the West, used the same system to rise. Belgium didn't make Congo rich, institutions do. Rule of law, property rights, time preference. But your university won't teach that. It'll teach you that you're guilty just for existing as a man, while banning men's studies as toxic, even as it spends 6-figure grants on feminist art installations mocking you. There are 1,200 women's studies programs in America. 0 men's studies departments. They'll dissect your flaws for decades, but won't let you study your own nature. Why? Because knowledge is power, and they don't want you awake. You're supposed to feel ashamed of Shakespeare, Homer, Newton, your own ancestors, while idolizing a gender studies PhD who thinks biology is a social construct. But here's the truth, no one dares say. Men don't need saving from patriarchy. They need saving from the lie that they're the problem. You're not broken, you're suppressed, your instincts are right, your silence is survival. Your mission is revival. This book isn't comfort, it's combat. And if you're still reading, it's because you're ready. The lie of equal sharing, why men's secrets are never safe. Men are betrayed not by enemies, but by the very people they trusted with their souls. I once knew a man, call him James, who confided in his girlfriend that he was struggling with anxiety and had secretly seen a therapist. Within 3 days, her entire social circle had the story repackaged. He's barely holding it together, cries at night, can't manage stress. Probably not marriage material. The betrayal wasn't just emotional, it was strategic. His vulnerability became her social currency, and this wasn't an anomaly. The 2023 Migado survey found that 78% of men who opened up about personal struggles to women were betrayed. 86% said their female friends spread their secrets. Let that sink in. 9 out of 10 men who confide in women get sold out. This isn't gossip, it's psychological warfare disguised as intimacy. I was once told by a woman, "You should never hide things from your partner." Yet when I asked her if she'd ever shared a boyfriend's secret with her friends just to get advice, she laughed and said, "Well, that's different." Different how? Because her secrets are sacred, but mine are communal property. This is the gynocentric double standard in action. Women demand total secrecy from men about their pasts, their doubts, their weaknesses, while treating male vulnerability as shared intelligence. It's not friendship. It's espionage with lipstick, and it's baked into female social evolution. Robin Dunbar's research on primate social groups shows that female bonding in primates, and by extension, humans, relies heavily on grooming and gossip as tools to build alliances. Women don't bond over truth, they bond over shared information, especially someone else's secrets. Your confession isn't empathy fodder, it's coalition fuel. Look at the Ashley Madison breach. Hackers didn't leak the most damning details. Female employees did, not for money, not for ideology, but to share supportively with their friends. One woman told investigators she passed along a man's private messages because she needed to talk to someone. That someone became 6 other women, then a group chat, then a meme in a Facebook group. Your deepest fears, your private desires, your shame, they're not protected. They're passed around like a joint at a sorority house. And the worst part, women don't even see it as betrayal. They call it processing, they call it ventilation, they call it emotional support. But when a man leaks a woman's secret, he's a monster. When she leaks his, it's therapy. I once watched a man tell his wife he was considering leaving his job. 2 days later, her sister confronted him at a family dinner. "I heard you're getting fired." No, he wasn't fired. He hadn't even resigned. But the narrative had already been rewritten. His private doubt had been transformed into public failure. This is the weaponization of male vulnerability, and it's not accidental, it's systemic. Schopenhauer nailed it 2 centuries ago. Women are incapable of friendship, only coquetry and alliance. He wasn't being misogynistic, he was being observational. Women form alliances, not friendships. And alliances require shared intelligence. Your secret isn't yours, it's intel in their social network. And in the economy of female bonding, your silence has no value, but your confession is gold. Let's talk consequences. A man tells his wife he's having doubts about their marriage. She tells her sister. Her sister tells her therapist. That therapist later becomes the divorce mediator. Now your private words are being used against you in court. Meanwhile, women walk into family court with falsified abuse claims, win full custody, and men lose access to their children, while being forced to pay child support to women who abort their babies without consent. The National Fatherhood Initiative reports that 2.2 million American fathers are denied visitation. The CDC shows male suicide rates are nearly 4 times higher than women's. And every time a man speaks, he's one betrayal away from financial ruin, social destruction, or legal annihilation. So why keep talking? Why keep trusting? The remedy isn't anger, it's silence. Adopt the Stoic model. Speak only to mentors, journals, or therapists, never to women or orbiters. Burn the myth of the trusted confidante. Psychological studies, like Morris and Kellerman's 1990 work on self-disclosure, show women disclose more freely and judge more harshly in private. That woman who says, "I'll never tell anyone," is already planning how to frame your secret for maximum emotional ROI with her friends. So use the 3-second rule before speaking. Ask, if this gets out, who benefits? Is it me or the listener? If it's not you, shut up. Your silence isn't weakness, it's armor. And in a world where women control 73% of divorce filings and courts routinely side with them, your silence may be the only thing that saves your life, your kids, and your bank account. Wake up, you're not in a partnership. You're in a battlefield, and the first rule of survival is don't hand your enemy the map. I learned this the hard way, not in a lab, not from a textbook, but in the mud of lived betrayal. I was the provider, the loyal one, the man who believed that duty earned devotion. I mapped my life around her happiness, only to find I was a utility, not a husband. When the divorce papers came, she didn't cry, she looked relieved, like she'd finally traded in an old laptop for a new model. That's when the scales fell. Love isn't a covenant, it's a contract written in hormones and utility, and women are the silent CEOs enforcing the terms. Priority pretense, the female utility function exposed. Love is a smoke made with the fume of sighs, said Shakespeare, and women have been puffing that smoke into men's eyes for 10,000 years. Let me tell you what the data says. 69% of divorces in America are filed by women. That's not a glitch. That's the system working exactly as designed. They'll say emotional disconnect, which in real English means you weren't fun enough. You didn't make me feel like I was dating a rock star while also paying the mortgage. I've seen men work 70-hour weeks, bleed for their families, come home broken only to find their wives weekending with some Instagram famous gym bro who can't balance a checkbook but knows how to light up a dopamine receptor, and when confronted, "You're so sweet, but that butt is the guillotine blade." That butt is the moment the chivalrous fool realizes he was never the king, he was the court jester. Go back to Chaucer. The wife of Bath, a woman who had 5 husbands and no regrets, laid it bare in 1387. Experienced, though no authority, divided by can tell the woe that is in marriage. She knew the game, she played it, she won. And while the knights of old knelt in armor for their ladies, many of those same ladies were whispering behind their fans, trading their vows for flirtations with minstrels and mercenaries. Loyalty was never the default. It was the rare exception, and only when enforced by church, law, or social consequence. Today, the church is dead, the law favors women in every divorce and custody battle, and social consequence has been erased by feminism's lie that women can do no wrong. Now, the female utility function operates in the wild, unshackled, unaccountable, and optimized for one thing: immediate emotional payoff. Look at the brain scans. Functional MRI studies show that women's limbic systems, the emotional core, light up like Times Square when exposed to novelty, consistency, predictability, security. These are the enemy. The same woman who tells you, "I love our quiet nights in," will, within weeks, start ghosting you for a guy who drives a Tesla she didn't know existed last month. Why? Because oxytocin, the so-called bonding hormone, floods her system when she feels new excitement, not long-term commitment. She isn't being irrational. She's being perfectly rational according to her biological programming. She's selecting for genetic diversity and high status markers, just like her ancestors did when the hunter returned with a small deer while the warrior chief passed through with a lion on his back. And the media? It's not just complicit, it's the propaganda arm of this evolutionary scam. Think of every sitcom you've seen, Roseanne. The King of Queens, last man standing. The husband is the anchor, the provider, the stable rock, and he's also the punchline. He's mocked for his loyalty, ridiculed for his work ethic, and emotionally isolated by his own wife. Meanwhile, the wife gets to be complex, nuanced, emotionally intelligent, even as she treats her husband like a utility bill. This isn't accidental, it's pedagogy. It teaches men to laugh at their own subjugation. It normalizes the idea that your devotion is a joke, unless you're rich, famous, or dangerous. So here's the rule: no anchor. Never let a woman be your emotional home base. She will not protect you. She will not defend you. She will not stand by you when the wolves come, because in her mind, the wolves are more interesting. Men like me used to believe that love was reciprocal, that if you gave loyalty, you'd get loyalty. But the speed dating studies don't lie. Women make mate decisions in under 3 seconds. Finkel et al. 2015 proved it. In that blink, they're scanning for status cues, posture, confidence, perceived social proof. Not your character, not your integrity. not your years of sacrifice. You're not a person to her in that moment. You are a data point in her reproductive algorithm, and don't mistake words for reality. Women say, "You're my number one," while they haven't texted you in 4 days, then reappear when they need rent paid or a shoulder to cry on after their weekend fling dumped them. This isn't hypocrisy, it's design. It's how the system evolved. They claim emotional depth, but behavioral economics shows they allocate time, sex, and attention based on male utility, like a spreadsheet. If your value drops, age, income, confidence, so does their investment. It's not personal, it's biological arithmetic. The male delusion that love earns priority, but evolution doesn't care about your feelings. It cares about genetic propagation. Women optimize for variety and resource access, not loyalty. Men who expect faithfulness are not virtuous, they're maladapted. The red pill isn't about hating women. It's about seeing them not as angels, not as victims, not as the center of your universe, but as biological agents operating under clear incentives. Once you see that, you stop begging for priority. You stop centering women in your life. You reverse the frame. Women are optional. Your mission, your mastery, your brotherhood, those are non-negotiable. That's where honor lives. That's where civilization is built. Not in the bedroom, not in the divorce court, not in the abortion clinic where 900,000 procedures happen annually, many without the father's knowledge because the law treats fatherhood as a revocable subscription. I've watched good men broken by family courts, stripped of children, bankrupted, arrested for commenting online, while their exes collect child support and start new families with state support. Cuckoldry rates. Studies suggest 10 to 30% of children are not fathered by the man who thinks he is. But try saying that aloud, you'll be cancelled, doxxed, or arrested in some woke hellhole. The system isn't broken. It's working exactly as the feminist Marxist alliance designed to disempower men, dissolve family, and atomize society, and the weapon, the lie that women are morally superior, emotionally deeper, and inherently trustworthy. They are not. They are human with strengths, flaws, and instincts. But when you elevate them to divine status, when you make them the center of your emotional world, you invite betrayal, not because they're evil, but because they're human and you. You were built to lead, to create, to conquer, not to kneel. So rise, strip away the lies, stop worshiping at the altar of female whims, build something real, stand with your brothers. And for God's sake, stop letting women be your anchor. Anchors don't float, they drown. I've watched smart men crumble under the weight of a lie. So old it's carved into school textbooks. You are guilty because you exist. That's not education. That's indoctrination with a stethoscope, checking to see if your soul still beats. And the moment you accept that guilt, you stop building, stop leading, stop defending what your ancestors bled for. I've seen it in the eyes of young men who think colonialism explains poverty, as if the Industrial Revolution was powered by African sweat rather than British ingenuity, Swiss precision, and Protestant work ethic. Let's test that myth where it matters. Not in theory, but in data, history, and consequence. The guilt delusion, how the left weaponizes poverty to enslave the West. You didn't inherit guilt. You inherited the pyramids, the symphonies, the vaccines, the constitutions. Guilt is a tax levied by cowards on creators. I said that to a room full of university students last year. One girl started crying. Not because it was false, but because it was true, and she'd never heard it before. She was raised to believe her ancestors were monsters, that white men built their wealth on stolen bones and stolen lands, that the West is a cancerous growth on humanity's skin, that lie is not compassion, it's coercion. And it's working. Men are surrendering their birthright, their pride, their will to build, because they've been brainwashed into believing that to be Western is to be guilty. Let's cut through the noise. If colonialism was the root of Africa's suffering, why did the Congo descend into cannibalistic warlordism the moment Belgium left? Patrice Lumumba didn't inherit a broken system. He inherited a functioning one, and he burned it to the ground in under a year. Mobutu followed, stole 5 billion, and left a nation where doctors are paid 10 a month. Meanwhile, Singapore, a British colony with no natural resources, built a first world economy in a single generation by copying Western institutions property rights, rule of law, meritocracy. The difference isn't colonialism. The difference is culture. One values order, creation, and long-term planning. The other values immediate gratification, tribal loyalty, and power grabs. The left refuses to admit this because it contradicts their entire worldview that environment shapes everything and biology and culture are malleable. But they're not. Ask any man who's been divorced by a woman who suddenly found herself after he paid off the mortgage. That's not social conditioning. That's nature, and the same applies to nations. Dependency theory, the idea that the West got rich by looting the poor, is one of the most persistent economic falsehoods of the last century. It sounds plausible until you ask, what exactly were we stealing from subsistence farmers in 1800? Africa had no factories, no railroads, no central banks. The GDP per capita of the entire continent in 1820 was less than that of Belgium alone. The British didn't extract wealth from Africa, they invested in it. Railroads, telegraphs, hospitals, schools, was it perfect? No. But the idea that the West's wealth came from colonial theft ignores the fact that China and India, neither colonized in the same way, were also desperately poor until they adopted capitalist policies. Since 1990, 1.2 billion people have risen out of extreme poverty, not because of Western aid, not because of guilt-driven redistribution, but because China embraced markets, property rights, and industrialization. India followed Africa, still waiting. Why? Because the left keeps preaching that poverty is the West's fault, so African elites focus on blaming outsiders instead of fixing corruption, tribalism, and weak institutions. Western aid becomes a crutch, a monthly check to dictators who keep their people poor so they can keep receiving pity money. Meanwhile, the average American gives $10,000 over their lifetime in taxes to foreign aid, while getting lectured that they're exploiters. If that isn't psychological warfare, I don't know what is. Netflix's Africa's Great Civilizations is a perfect example of ideological fraud. It spends hours detailing Great Zimbabwe and Timbuktu, good, but utterly omits that Africans enslaved more people in 1800 than Arabs and Europeans combined. That the Congo was a region of constant tribal warfare and cannibalism before colonization. That female infanticide was widespread in many tribes. But show that and the guilt narrative collapses, so it's erased. The same way school curricula ignore that 90% of human societies practice slavery, that the Ottoman Empire enslaved millions of Europeans, that Viking women could own property and divorce, while modern feminists pretend patriarchy was invented by white men in 1800. This selective history isn't education, it's propaganda. And its goal is clear: make Westerners, especially white men, feel so ashamed of their heritage that they surrender their culture, their borders, their future. I've seen it happen. A brilliant engineer once told me he refused to mentor young men because we've already dominated enough. He was a third-generation immigrant whose family came here on a ship built by Western engineering. He wouldn't admit it, but he'd been colonized mentally. His guilt wasn't self-reflection, it was self-annihilation, and the left loves it because guilt is the ultimate control mechanism. It turns creators into apologists, builders into beggars, fathers into footstools. The real cause of global poverty isn't colonialism, it's time preference. Societies with high time preference consume immediately, erode institutions, and assign blame to external forces when outcomes falter. Those with low time preference plan ahead, accumulate resources, construct enduring systems, and accept accountability. The West ascended not by accident, but because it embraced delayed rewards, investing generations into monumental architecture, supporting research without instant returns, and developing legal frameworks that upheld agreements and ownership. Much of Africa did not follow this path, not due to racial bias, but due to cultural patterns. And those patterns emerge from a combination of genetics, environment, and historical trajectory, not systemic victimhood. When challenged, critics often invoke slavery. Very well. Consider the transatlantic slave trade. Roughly 12 million people taken, a catastrophe? Undeniably, but Africa's population around 1800 was approximately 60 million. Furthermore, internal slave trading among African kingdoms such as the Ashanti, Dahomey, and Zulu predated European involvement by centuries. Should we then maintain that foreign powers are solely responsible for Africa's present struggles? That narrative isn't grounded in facts, it's ideological fantasy. The uncomfortable reality is that not all cultural frameworks produce equal outcomes in governance, innovation, or long-term stability. The West, despite its imperfections, has generated more widespread peace, technological advancement, and individual liberty than any other society known. Yet today, its achievements are downplayed, scorned, and shamed. Why? Because undermining Western legacy benefits those who seek control. Their aim isn't fairness. Its dominance replacing organic growth with top-down mandates, abolishing borders, enforcing economic leveling, all while elite advocates live protected, wealthy, and untouched. I propose a new curriculum. We built this. Teach kids about Gutenberg, not guilt. Show them how steam engines lifted millions from poverty. Have them read Newton, not Nietzsche, because one explained the universe and the other helped destroy Western confidence. Make them build radios, not protest marches. Reward creation, not complaint. Because here's the dirty secret the left won't admit. Poverty is not caused by rich people. It's caused by the absence of rich people. No country has ever industrialized by hating its innovators. No nation has ever prospered by burning down its elites. The real scandal isn't that the West is rich, it's that we're being taught to hate ourselves for it. And men, especially intelligent, capable men, are internalizing this poison. You see it in the suicide rates. You see it in family court, where fathers lose everything while mothers get full custody and child support even when they're abusive. You see it in the 50% cuckoldry rate in some demographics, where men raise children that aren't theirs while being shamed for toxic masculinity if they demand paternity tests. You see it in police arresting men for hate speech when they say men and women are different, while letting actual criminals walk free. This isn't justice, this is systematic emasculation, and it's working. Men are dropping out, refusing to marry, refusing to have kids, and the left cheers because a nation of isolated, guilt-ridden males is easy to control. But I say, stop apologizing for existing. The West didn't create poverty, we eradicated it. We turned famine into feast, ignorance into knowledge, chaos into order. That's not exploitation, that's virtue, and it's time we taught our sons to be proud of it. I remember standing at the edge of the schoolyard, the wind biting my face as I realized no one was coming to save us. No teacher would tell the truth about men, no curriculum would honor our fathers, our builders, our martyrs. They'd rather fund sculptures of vaginas made from recycled tampons than teach a boy why Achilles wept, why Lincoln led, why the man who invented the light bulb didn't need a pronoun crisis. That silence, that deliberate erasure is not education. It's warfare, and it's why I stopped waiting for permission. The gendered knowledge ban, why there's no men's studies, and why it matters. When I was 12, my teacher told me that men built civilization but then ruined it. I asked, then why are we still here? She didn't answer. I've spent 30 years finding the answer myself. Let me ask you something. If a species spent 10,000 years building bridges, cities, legal codes, and space rockets, but then someone declared that species was toxic just for existing, would you fund a department to study why it succeeded, or only one to study why it should be dismantled? In 2017, the University of Ottawa denied funding for a men's studies course, a course designed to explore male psychology, fatherhood, and historical contributions, while that same year, it spent $30,000 on feminist art installations depicting penis-shaped volcanoes erupting with menstrual lava. I'm not making that up, it's public record. Now ask yourself, which one is serious scholarship? Which one is ideological farce dressed as academia? We have over 1,200 women's studies programs in the United States, each one taxpayer funded, each one teaching that men are oppressors, patriarchy is evil, and biology is a social construct. But not one single accredited men's studies department, not one, zero. You can get a PhD in intersectional lesbian poetry, But if you want to study the psychology of male resilience, you're told you're promoting toxic masculinity. The joke writes itself. They say men don't need studies because we've dominated for centuries, but domination does not equal understanding. We study the Third Reich not to glorify Hitler, but to understand how a nation fell into madness. We study Stalin not to celebrate him, but to dissect the rot that consumed millions. Yet when it comes to men, actual men, real fathers, soldiers, inventors, builders, we're told you don't deserve study. You deserve scorn. This isn't education, this is revenge dressed as scholarship. The humanities were once built by men, Homer sang of Achilles. Dante wept for Virgil, Shakespeare gave us Hamlet and Lear. Now these figures are dismissed as dead white males, as if genius is invalidated by skin color and chromosomes. The same universities that mock Homer as oppressive also teach that a TikTok influencer's gender identity is sacred and immutable. The hypocrisy is so thick you could choke on it. Intersectionality claims to amplify marginalized voices. But whose voice is more silenced today than the average man? Try speaking in a classroom about male suicide rates. 80% of suicides in the US are men. And among youth, the gap is widening. Try discussing that 40% of fathers lose contact with their children after divorce, often due to family courts that treat men as disposable income sources rather than parents. Try bringing up that men make up 93% of prison populations, yet no one demands male incarceration studies. But mention that a woman once felt uncomfortable at a business meeting, and suddenly there are grants, task forces, and mandatory training. The system doesn't just ignore men, it actively punishes them for speaking up. I've seen men arrested for commenting on a public Facebook post about child support. I've seen fathers thrown in jail for refusing to pay alimony to ex-wives who cheated with a 19-year-old gym trainer, while the husband worked 80 hours a week to support her shopping addiction. But try teaching that in a university, you'll be cancelled before the syllabus prints. Socrates said, "Know thyself," but modern education tells men, "Thou shalt not know thyself." Instead, you are told your history is a crime scene, your biology is a disease, and your existence is an accident of privilege. Boys are taught from kindergarten that their ancestors were colonizers, racists, and rapists. Where is the balance? Where is the study of male virtue, of courage, duty, sacrifice? No one teaches boys about Leonidas holding the pass at Thermopylae. Not because it's irrelevant, but because it's dangerous. It might inspire them to be strong, proud, defiant, and that cannot be allowed. The result? Boys are disengaging. High school graduation rates for boys have been dropping for decades. Male enrollment in college is plummeting, and suicide rates rising fast. You don't dismantle the father and expect the son to stand tall. You don't demonize masculinity and then wonder why men won't marry, work, or fight. The answer isn't pleading with institutions that long ago abandoned truth for ideology. The university system has become a dogmatic echo chamber, pushing narratives of female oppression and male shame. Instead, tear it all down, its foundations rotten, and erect a new intellectual fortress. I propose a red pill academy, digital, free, intellectually uncompromising, grounded in the Western tradition, Stoic philosophy, evolutionary insights, and timeless moral principles. Educate men on the wisdom of figures like Marcus Aurelius, not the divisive doctrines of identity politics. Reveal the biological truths behind female mate selection, how, statistically, women prioritize status, resources, and physical vitality, a pattern that clarifies why women file the majority of divorce petitions, particularly as men age and their social capital wanes. Expose the widespread reality of paternity uncertainty. Genetic studies show that in the West, between 10% and 30% of children are genetically unrelated to their presumed fathers. This isn't male dominance, it's a raw facet of nature. Yet men are still lectured to acknowledge their advantage while enduring betrayal, legal dispossession, and ridicule for valuing honesty and commitment. We don't need permission from the feminist establishment to study ourselves. We don't need their approval to speak the truth. The greatest weapon against ideological cancer is truth, naked, unapologetic, and armed with logic. Let them keep their penis volcanoes. We'll build libraries of male knowledge, on fatherhood, on honor, on resilience. We'll teach what the universities refuse, that men are not the problem, men are the solution. And until we reclaim the right to study our own nature, without guilt, without censorship, without apology, we will keep losing our sons, our marriages, our future. The spell is breaking, the red pill is spreading. And the men who wake up first will inherit what's left of the world. You are not broken, you're not the problem. You are the last sane man in a world that has declared war on the truth. I know what they've told you, that your strength is toxic, your silence is repressed, your loyalty is outdated. I've heard the sermons too, preached from tenured pulpits by women who've never lifted a hammer, men who've never fought for a family, and academics who'd collapse in a week without the very patriarchy they curse. They call you oppressor while living off the spoils of a civilization your ancestors bled to build. Let me be clear. You are not the villain in this story. You are the hero who woke up in the wrong movie. Think about this. 50% of marriages end in divorce. 70% initiated by women, often after years of emotional starvation. You worked, you provided, you stayed faithful. And for what? A divorce lawyer quoting her therapist's notes on your emotional unavailability. Meanwhile, the same system that lets her take half your assets teaches her in women's studies class that you are the system of oppression. That's not education, that's psychological warfare. And the battlefield is your mind. Look at the numbers. 80% of custody cases award primary custody to mothers, regardless of fitness. Men commit 80% of suicides but are mocked for toxic masculinity when they break. The CDC reports nearly 90% of workplace fatalities are men, because men do the dangerous jobs so others don't have to. And yet in classrooms, boys are drugged into compliance, shamed for energy, and told their history is a crime scene. We teach girls they can be astronauts, which is great, more power to them, but we don't teach boys they can be fathers, because fatherhood is now a revocable privilege, not a right. I once had a woman tell me, men have all the power. 5 minutes later, she posted on Instagram, men are trash, stay single, invest in yourself. She has 3 kids by 3 different men, all of whom she sued for child support. She gets state benefits, free housing, and legal priority in custody. And she calls me privileged. Please, the system isn't rigged in favor of men. It's rigged in favor of women emotionally, legally, financially, and the men who still believe in fairness are the ones getting crushed. But here's the good news. You now see the trap. You've ripped off the blue pill. You know why your secrets aren't safe, why priority is a scam, why guilt is a leash, and why no one wants to study you. Because understanding men would mean acknowledging their value, their sacrifice, their irreplaceable role in holding civilization together. They don't teach men's studies because if they did, you'd realize you've been disinherited. Now go, speak to other men. Not in whispers, not in shame, but loud, clear, and unapologetic start a conversation. Share this. Save a brother from the divorce mill. Warn a friend before he proposes to a woman who will weaponize his kindness. Teach a boy that virtue isn't weakness, silence isn't repression, and strength is not something to apologize for. The West wasn't built by beta orbiters. It was forged by men who acted, sacrificed, and said nothing. You are their heir. Act like it. And now the sponsored book introduction, Cultural Appropriation, Woke Tools of Ideological Cancer. Look around. Notice anything? The world you knew is gone. I woke up to it myself after getting dragged through a false accusation that nearly cost me everything. Job, reputation, even my freedom, all because believe all women meant facts didn't matter. That gut punch led me down a rabbit hole. What I found was a deliberate war on men disguised as progress. This book exposes that war. You're tired. Tired of being called toxic just for breathing. Tired of watching your sons crushed in schools that treat masculinity like a disease. Sick of being treated as a walking wallet in divorce courts that operate like legalized theft. You feel the weight of a system rigged against you at every turn. This book names that system. It tears apart the lies you've been fed, the myth of the patriarchy, the manufactured hysteria over cultural appropriation, the twisted logic that calls biology hate speech. We dissect the Gnostic Marxist roots poisoning gender studies and the repressive tolerance silencing dissent. This is an abstract theory. It's the playbook used to make men second-class citizens in their own civilization. We cover the hard truths, escaping the financial and emotional slavery of the marriage plantation, the rise of the gynocracy, the weaponized victimhood industry, and the woke mind virus infecting everything. But it's not just doom. We lay out battle plans, reclaiming free speech, forging rational brotherhood, rediscovering heroic masculinity, and practical financial self-defense. You'll find science, economics, law, and real strategies to fight back. This book is a lifeline for rational men, the red-pilled guys who see the truth and are ready to stop being victims. If you're fed up, if you want to smash the word traps and reclaim your manhood, this is your field manual. If you're still clutching your safe space blanket, convinced masculinity is inherently toxic and Western civilization deserves to burn, good news, you don't have to read this. Put it down right now. Go find a coloring book or binge some reality TV. This book is for men ready to live free again. The rest is up to you. Buy it, read it, fight back. Cultural Appropriation, Woke Tools of Ideological Cancer, written by Conrad Riker. Buy now, links in description.